An analogy I like to use in my workshops is that, and for those who have read my books, they know that I like to go to the movies. That's one of my favorite things. I go to the movies, look, I know it's not real, but that doesn't stop me from enjoying it. So that's the only difference, is that you're looking at it differently, you're thinking about it differently, but you still get to have it at the same time. And people will say, oh, if I get into this kind of spirituality, then I got to give up money and sex and my material possessions and all these things that I think makes life worthwhile. Well, no. It's like, if you think you have to give up those things, well, I got news for you. 30, 40 years from now, you're going to have to give up those things anyway. Because the body is not going to last forever. And the difference between building your house upon the rock instead of the sand is that you look at it differently in such a way so that as you're going along, you're also building something that will last forever. And that's real spirituality for me. That's what Jesus was all about 2,000 years ago, that return to wholeness. Like in the Gospel of Thomas, for example, he says, I am the one who comes from what is whole. And the word holy actually comes from the word whole. And then he says, if one is whole, one will be filled with light. But if one is divided, then one will be filled with darkness. And there's no wiggle room there. What it really comes down to is a choice between how you're going to see things and how you're going to see other people. And that's the last part about forgiveness that I want to squeeze in here, because what you're doing is you're seeing people as being what they really are instead of what they think they are. They may think that they're guilty or that they are these bodies and that they're separate, but what they really are is this perfect spirit that is not part of it, but all of it. Something that is nothing less than God. And if you think about that person that way, that is eventually how you're going to come to experience yourself and think about yourself, which is why we get a very important law of the mind in my books and in A Course in Miracles. As you see him, you will see yourself. Mm-hmm. And then the Course says, never forget this. In that person, you will either find yourself or lose yourself. So in the end, you'll notice in the conversations in the Disappearance of the Universe, Your Immortal Reality, I'll have a third book out soon called Love Has Forgotten No One. My teachers are the same teachers in all three books. It's the same format. And that law of the mind, as you see him, you'll see yourself. It really explains, why that works and why it has to work. And it has to do with that subject of oneness and how there's really only one of us that thinks that it's here, just as the Buddhist taught.
So I can already hear a question, well, how long does this take to get here?
Well, first of all, you have to want it. It's not something that anybody is going to do if they don't want it, which is why I never try to sell anybody, in my workshops, or like this is not the only way. That's the point.
Correct.
The Course itself says it's just one, of many forms of the universal curriculum. I think it does suggest that it's a fast way. It says the miracle, which is forgiveness in the Course, can substitute for learning that may have taken thousands of years. So obviously it's talking about saving countless lifetimes by getting down to the way of looking at things that great masters like Buddha and Jesus would have looked at them. And also it says the chief aim of the miracle worker is to save time. So the Course isn't claiming to be the only way, but I think it is definitely claiming to be a fast way.
And aren't you suggesting also that we're now in a reality that we have evolved, or we are conscious enough now, there's enough consciousness to be able to grasp what you're talking about?
Yeah, I can't see any way that A Course in Miracles could have been understood before now. You've had all these things that have come together in the last 100 years, from Freudian psychology and Carl Jung, to the quantum physicists, to the mystics of the East and their thoughts coming to the West. And this is obviously given in Christian terminology, not because it's Christian. In fact, A Course in Miracles probably has more in common with Buddhism than it does with Christianity, except for that beautiful and lofty vision of God that we get. But you put all those things together, the study of these new sacred texts that were found in Nag Hammadi, like the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Mary, the Gospel of Philip, you start to put all those things together and you see how they're saying the same thing. And then you realize, okay, this is just maybe the most powerful statement all in one place, that you can put it all together like that. But I think that we're just at a point now in human history where things like this can be understood on such a deep level that people can take them and use them in their lives to undo the ego and actually make a completely different experience of themselves. In fact, people through this can have total power to determine how they feel about themselves.
So as you can see, this is a very involved, and full of huge resources, not only in our own imagination and our own intelligence, but also in this experience that is being presented to us. So Connie, we're going to tie this up really quickly, and we're going to actually, Connie and I are going to do some more of this later on in another show that will explain a little bit more about the Course in Miracles. She just is looking at me like, oh, really, I'm doing this? But, Spirit is actually moving us toward that.
Yes, I think so.
Yes, that was one of my realities today. So we do the course every Wednesday at our store, Spirit at Work Books, here in Boise. And so just come and experience this. It's a full year's course, and it takes 24/7, but it's your commitment and it's your life.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
here we are.
And your choice.
And your choice.
And your choice.
And
If I could just add one quick thing. I know I did all the talking tonight, but it's like
Well, you're the guest.
it's like the Course, after all that, says that it's simple. And it doesn't just say it once. It uses the word simple 158 times. And what it's saying is that there are really only two things. We look out and see a billion different things that we think that we have to choose from, but there are really only two things. There's reality and illusion. Reality is this perfect spirit, which is the only thing that's real, and if you choose to see people that way, and only that way, that's simple, and that will work. So it may not be easy, but it is simple.
All right, there we are. So this is the simple thing. Thank you for joining us tonight. Namaste. We appreciate your consciousness.